In this video, I'm going to show you how to build these high quality acoustic panels, which are made out of 2x4, 1x4, Rockwool insulation, and some fabric that I use from a bed sheet. So if you want to build these yourself, you can use them in any room of your house. It could be your kitchen even. In a bare room with just some basic furniture and empty walls, you're going to have a lot of echoes. Sound quality for movies, music, or anything like that, it's going to be dramatically different with and without sound panels. Sound's going to be traveling at about 1,200 feet per second. Within the first second, it's going to bounce 60 times off the wall. The goal of these sound panels is to reduce the energy of that bounce and echo. That way the acoustics overall balance out and improve and sound better across the room. These panels are about 24 inches tall and 16 inches wide. I use 2x4 for the top and bottom of the frame and 1x4 for the sides. The Rockwool insulation that I bought, I actually just built it to the width of that. If you're concerned about the weight of the acoustic panel, I would stay away from using 2x4 frame. It's a little bit heavier, so go with maybe a 1x4. The reason I went with this wood is just because it was laying around in my garage and I didn't have to buy anything. I used a miter saw to cut the frame down. I just used basic 90-degree cuts. I clamped down these pieces of wood. I used some wood glue, a drill, driblets, screwed these together. Just a basic rectangle frame we're going to be building. This simple and easy design will allow you to practically build any size acoustic panel that you need. You'll notice I drill the screws in a little bit through the other side here. That way it's easier to line up to the pilot holes after I put on the glue. As you can see, we're just going to keep repeating this process until we complete the whole frame. Try to make sure you screw these screws in all the way, that way they're not poking or showing through the fabric. As easy as it looks, there's still ways to mess up or make this frame not the right shape. So I'm going to recommend that you grab some clamps and a right angle because it's going to make the job a lot easier. Once I had the whole frame built out, I wrapped it with one layer of the fabric from the 3-piece bedsheet from Big Lots. Just used a simple staple gun to attach the fabric. Now when it comes to fabric, there's definitely a wide range of fabrics you could go with. So the goal of the Rockwool insulation in the sound panel is to absorb those low frequencies, and we don't want to block the sound by going into there. So that's why you want to use a thin layer of cotton or fabric that's going to have a weave or anything that lets those sound waves travel through it. Toughest part about attaching the cloth was definitely the corners. That's just, I was kind of particular on how I wanted to fold it and end up looking. I will say that using this bedsheet material, it stretches a little bit easier, so you're definitely going to want to have it fastened very tightly or else you're going to have some wrinkles and whatnot and it's not going to look as good. Rockwool is definitely great for this job. The biggest con is the handling this material. Some people just want to avoid it and stay away. As long as you're smart and safe about it, it's really not that bad. I'm not going to recommend either way just because it's your choice. People tend to stay away from this just because it can be very itchy, so you want to make sure you're wearing long sleeve shirts, pants, goggles, glasses, anything. Just cover your skin as much as you can and avoid touching this. If you do choose to go with Rockwool, I recommend you consider this pillowcase method just because it's going to keep that insulation trapped in there nicely. Now, I'd highly recommend staying away from any cheap type of foam material because it's not going to work well. I've tried this before I built these. Here is where I did the double wrap at the end. So the denser that the panel is, the more low frequencies that it's going to absorb. And that's why there's a benefit when you put an air gap between the panel and the wall. It's going to add that extra layer where the sound waves travel through the panel, bounce off the wall and back into the way I finished it on the back was so I could get into and remove the fiberglass or Rockwool material in case I ever needed to replace it or fix it or anything like that. Whatever material you insulate it with. Now once the frames are complete and wrapped in fabric, we're just going to mount them onto the wall. There's a lot of flexibility when it comes to mounting these. You could go with different hardware. Now, because of the simple design, they're going to be easy to mount. Grab a stud finder, find the stud in the wall. That way they fasten and hold well. Corners are the worst areas for sound bouncing and echoes. It's where the sound's going to bounce the most. You don't want to add too many of these panels because then you're just going to have an overly absorbent room. It's going to dampen it too much. All these tools and supplies that are used here, there's a lot of flexibility. Don't overthink it. It's just a DIY acoustic panel.